Hello and welcome to another episode of the Ware Brothers Podcast. It is April 2nd, 2023. Taylor, we're back again.
We
Week two.
are. I know we made it a whole week without being canceled.
I love
Yeah,
it.
I know, right? We are.
Uh,
This is not the April Fool. We're just past the April Fool.
I figured, we'd wait until April 1st. That way everyone knows that what we're saying today is the absolute truth.
Yeah,
No jokes.
I know. I got hammed yesterday a few times with a couple of things where I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, it's April 1st.
That, if you're on the internet this day and age, April 1st, you need to know that either stay off the internet or whatever you read, you can't believe anything.
I know. Yeah.
None of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Anywho, what got you the best yesterday?
I sent you a link. I was all excited. For those of you who aren't aware, Ken and I are really big into Brandon Sanderson. Not into Sanderson, but the stuff he writes.
I'm a little into him. He's a good guy.
He's a good guy. Not according to that article that got written about him recently.
Ooh, terrible.
I know. Anyways, so one of his books, Mistborn, he keeps saying that one of his books is going to be adapted into TV or movie, and there was this big leak about cast for Mistborn, and I was all excited. And then I got to the ending, and they were saying that Hugh Jackman was going to play one of the characters. I'm like, that's interesting. And then they got to Danny DeVito, and I'm like, and then the dead giveaway, no pun intended, was the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, and I'm like, oh, she's not alive, so she's definitely not in the movie.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So, yeah. What about you? Did you come across anything?
No. Like I said, on when it comes to April 1st, I stay clear of the internet and don't waste my time on that stuff. So, like I said, as soon as you sent me that link, did you send me that link knowing then it was fake? No. Okay.
I just saw cast leak and I got all excited. I sent it to you, and then you're like, Taylor, April 1st. I went, this is all going to be garbage. And
yeah. As soon as you sent that, I'd not seen it, but as soon as you sent that, I was like, no, I wish, but no.
I will say some of the people they had in there, I was like, oh, that's a good cast member. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I haven't read it. I should go and look just to see who they selected.
Yeah. So, they had Danny DeVito as the Lord Ruler. And I was like, what?
Okay, yeah, no.
Maybe the version of him when he's like collecting his Fair-Kami when he's like old and decrepit and gaining his strength.
That could be.
Spoiler alert.
Anywho, people don't know what we're talking
about. Steven might. Our cousin Steven. Anywho.
Did he start reading the books?
He recently told me that when I was buying those speakers off of him, that he had asked me about Brandon Sanderson and Mistborn.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So
nice.
All right. Well, we'll jump into things. We actually got a fair bit of stuff to go over this week. Okay. You said you had nothing that got you yesterday, right? For April 1st.
No, nothing that got me. Anything big this weekend, or you just want to jump into the news?
Nah.
Okay, good.
We'll just jump into the news. We'll start off with a bit. Well, I guess, some sad news. This has actually been an ongoing thing. So they finally settled. There was a $5 million swatting settlement. Do you remember reading about this when it happened a few years back?
Maybe not this particular case, but swatting is in someone streaming and they get a SWAT team.
So in this
case,
this was the first one documented that was ever recorded. So there were two players, Casey Viner and Shane Gaskill, were playing Call of Duty. Viner, I guess he was upset. He hired this guy, Tyler Barris, to make a call, but the address that he was given was the wrong address. And so they actually went to the home of the gentleman named Andrew Fitch, and he had no idea what was going on, what was happening, and he stepped outside his home, and police officers shot and killed him. They said that there was a hostage situation and that he was armed. So Barris, he was actually tied to another swatting incident as well, and he was sentenced to 20 years in prison, and Viner was sentenced 15 months plus an additional 2-year gaming ban, although I don't know how you'd really enforce a gaming ban, but this was kind of a landmark case, but they finally settled. So the family of the gentleman who was shot and killed sued I'm assuming the county or the state for the police officers that were involved and that had shot and killed him. But yeah, it's just Crazy that somebody would go to these lengths for losing a video game.
Definitely.
Yeah,
That is a terrible talk about poor
and
sportsmanship.
and obviously, I mean, I would assume that it was just to like freak the guy out and scare him. Like they didn't assume the guy's kid was going to get shot, but
No,
you
of
know,
course not.
when you call in a hostage situation and that somebody's armed and dangerous, things like
They
this
take
could
that
happen.
seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. The one not to have him do swatting, but always chuckles is I heard about do you know who I think I've told you a story. Stipe Miocic, former heavyweight UFC fighter. He's
No.
heavyweight champion of the world, 265-pound behemoth. He loves online gaming. He loves playing Call of Duty. And he has said many times he'll be playing with a bunch of teenagers and like he'll kill somebody and the person will get on the mic and they'll be like, I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna beat the crap out of you. And they have no idea he's Stipe Miocic. And I'm like, I would just love to see the look on somebody's face if they actually tracked down his address and like knocked on his door and then opening the door is, oh, former UFC heavyweight champion of the world. They're like, wrong address, gotta go. That'd be hilarious.
That would be hilarious.
I would love that. So, anyway, that was our first bit of news. Second bit of news, I bring this up. We mentioned last week about Resident Evil 4. Already some new additions coming to the game, arriving April 7th, actually. Mercenary mode. So apparently, this was a previous mode, I think, I don't know if it was on earlier Resident Evil games, but this is an addition. I think it was from like a previous before they remastered it when it was on PS4, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I've heard of it.
You heard
Yeah.
it? Anyways, people have been clamoring for it. The objective is to kill as many enemies as possible before an evacuation chopper arrives, and then you get points awarded for combo kills and the amount of enemies, bosses, blah blah blah. So the remaster just came out, and they've already said next week this will be added to it as well.
Very cool.
People have been clamoring for. So
I'm sure they'll be. I'm actually pretty surprised just how soon they're getting this DLC, which means obviously they've been working on it.
Yeah,
before already beforehand. So
yeah, and
that's
it is
good.
off to a hut start.
I'm
over
sure
3 million copies have been sold in the first 2 days it went on sale.
Wow.
So, yeah, and Capcom, and I'm sure a lot of that has to do with the fact that Capcom has made promises for a lot of free DLC already to come, and they even found there was a data miner who had found evidence in the coding that the Ada Wong Separate Ways bonus content could be coming down the road as well.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Resident Evil 4 is such a
iconic.
When I say cash grab, I don't mean cash grab in generally the negative sense. I just mean it's a slam dunk of a game for Capcom to remaster. I mean, Resident Evil 4 kind of not just revitalized, but refreshed and renewed the Resident Evil franchise and really took it into the next, direction that they've been in, for now,
Since then. Yeah, I would agree. I think you had purchased Resident Evil 4, I believe, correct?
I believe so.
We had it for the GameCube.
Yeah.
And all I knew it for was from I think it was on PlayStation before that. Is that correct? Primarily I've done a PlayStation game and PC. Like when Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3 came out.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. So I really didn't. I knew of the game, obviously the series. But yeah, I mean, Resident Evil 4 for me was my first iteration of it, first time playing any of the Resident Evil games, and it just blew me away. I mean, we had it on GameCube, and then we got it on Wii, and I loved it. It's one of my favorite games for sure.
Definitely. And I'm trying to think back. It probably was on either, at least yours, maybe mine too, but of our top games of all time. But I would, if it wasn't on there, I mean, I'd say Resident Evil 4 is in the running for one of the best games of all time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in my top 10.
I think it was, yeah.
If you're a listener, can you go back and check and email us at theweirdbrotherspodcast@gmail.com? Let us know if it was in our top 10, or leave it. Let us know in our comments. Some Final Fantasy news. Final Fantasy 16 trailer was released. A new one. That was a new trailer that dropped. Game releases on June 22nd. I was looking at different locales within the new, basically the maps. This thing's gonna be pretty big. So there are 4 main areas, and they're saying each map is consisting of roughly 2 square kilometers of space in each of those 4 maps. So it's gonna be a lot to track down in there.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm really looking forward. The Final Fantasy 16 looks really cool. It looks really, really fun. Kind of a departure back to the roots. They wanted to go back to more of this knights, medieval monsters and swords and armor sort of feel instead of the futuristic sort of locales and tech that have been in the most recent Final Fantasy games.
Yeah, I may have to check this out if I can at some point somewhere. I know what you're about to say. I'm saying maybe I'll watch you play it.
Yeah.
It's a Is it a PlayStation exclusive?
Though I said that about Resident Evil 4, but
You
this
did,
one I'm
pretty
positive.
sure.
I'm telling you, this Final Fantasy 16 is a PlayStation exclusive.
Fine.
Not just that, I believe it's a PS5 exclusive. I don't think this is even coming out for PS4.
I would assume that to be true. Anywho, I mean, we possibly could have gotten some more information on it at E3, but you know what?
What?
E3's
We're
been
not?
canceled. I know.
What?
I know.
April Fools, right?
You're the April Fool. What? No, E3. They announced E3 was canceled this year. Supposed to be the first time it was in person since COVID hit. And nope. Hasta lasagna.
How come?
I don't know. Everybody keeps backing out of these things. You're seeing the same thing at car shows and events. I mean, it used to be huge car shows around the globe, and those have been canceled left and right pretty much since COVID. I think they're just finding that the amount of money they're putting into these events, they're not getting the return on it with the age of the internet and YouTube videos and people like us talking about these games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I asked that just to facilitate a little bit because I've obviously seen this headline here this past week, but yeah, it seems like developers, they like to have things ready when they have it ready.
Mm-hmm.
Deadlines that they can set themselves versus, oh, we need to be ready for E3. Like you just pointed out with YouTube and just the internet and just everyone having phones and things like that. Yeah, them being able to dictate their own presentations and conferences, it seems like is definitely the way that's going. And I don't know how I feel about that. It's like I like it, but at the same time, E3 was always, you always knew E3 was there. Like you could always expect the biggest reveals. Now we kind of get them kind of layered throughout the year, but I don't know. How do you feel about it? Do you miss it or will you miss it?
I've never been to one, but I do like the buzz and the hype surrounding it, and the fact that like some of the biggest games of the year are going to be revealed there. I like that it's like the showstopper kind of event. Kind of like I'm big into cars, so I used to love it when like the big car shows, Detroit Car Show, Los Angeles Car Show would come along, and you'd be like, all right, we're going to see some of the newest and like best technology and the stuff that's out there. Kind of the same thing with gaming. You're going to see like, all right, who's working on what with like the newest, software engines that are out there, and just kind of like groundbreaking trailers for games and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it just kind of takes away some of the hype, but I get it.
Yeah.
So,
same.
And so speaking of hype and some big news, Ken, do you know what happened earlier this week?
Did we get some showcase of gameplay from the new Legend of Zelda game?
Nope. I'm just kidding. We did.
Oh my god!
I know, right?
April Fools.
Ken, I know you are vastly looking forward to this game. You just can't wait to get your hands on it and start breaking some weapons. Anywho,
yeah, about that.
Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. They released some new information on a short video from a Nintendo Direct earlier this week, and Ken and I are definitely on opposite sides of the coin when it comes to this game. Breath of the Wild, I absolutely loved. And Ken, what is your biggest gripe with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild?
I know I'm not the only one because this is a very hot topic out there.
This is definitely like this is like the North versus the South. I feel like somebody's going to be on one side of this,
Absolutely, and I am on the side of unbreakable weapons. I cannot stand the weapons. Like I get it. I get it from a gameplay standpoint.
There you go.
So Em and I have been doing a lot of spring cleaning.
All the chemicals got into your head.
Clean the bedroom. No, cat hair, dander. It's like, as you know, I'm allergic to cats, and Ben nose been running like crazy. Anywho,
go catch it.
I caught it. Anywho, the breakable weapons from a gameplay perspective, I understand. I know that it does work as intended, that you find more weapons than you break, that and all that go, but I am someone who gets attached to my weapons and my gear in these, it's hard to call Zelda an RPG, but in these get,
Yeah,
with
action
RPG,
adventure. That
right.
yeah.
I get, and I know they're saying, no, we don't, that's the thing. You don't need to get attached because you're always going to have weapons. But it's something that at first, because I played through Breath of the Wild pretty far,
Mhm.
pretty far. Um, but it just, something about it just irked me. I cannot get past, I can, and if they would just come out with a patch that if you wanted to play with the breakable weapons, good. But if not, you can play the game with the weapons don't break, or your shields and stuff like that. If they ever did that, I would pick that game back. I would put everything down just to pick that game up and play it again.
Well, I'm glad you got that cleared up. I, of course, am on the other side, only because, like you pointed out, there are so many weapons in this game. I'm somebody who I would hate when I played a game and I like had a great weapon, but then there'd be other good weapons or great weapons. I'm like, oh, I could get some use out of that, but I don't because then I have to get rid of the gun or the weapon or the sword that I have. So I like this because I would save a couple of like really high valued strong weapons and use them against bosses or lynxes, things like that. And then I'd use my like minor weapons against the regular goblins and whatnot. Bobkins, those guys. Um, so I was completely fine with it, but it just cracks me up. So, anyways, back to Tears of the Kingdom. They have reiterated that the weapon breaking is going to be back for this game. So, Ken, I know you're not going to be playing this. I will let you know how everything goes. But they did show off 4 new features in this game, which I think are really cool.
I agree. Before you go
Go
in,
ahead.
I just want to say I do think the features look very cool. The game looks great. I love Breath of the Wild, like as a game.
Mhm.
It's just me personally. I don't want to say like Breath of the Wild still I think is a 10 out of 10 game. Like that, don't, I just want to be clear on that. Breath of the Wild is a masterpiece.
Okay.
It's just not my masterpiece. And this
Ken's
game should be called Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, not Tears of the Kingdom.
Kendom.
Yeah. Like Ken, Tears of the, because I'm not going to play it because of the weapons. The Tears of the Kingdom.
I always want to call it Tears of the Sun because it was after that Bruce Willis movie.
Oh, come on, Bruce. Nah, I'm not going to say anything about Bruce Willis.
Anywho, 4 new features that were unveiled. So they have recall. It's the ability to unwind an object's movement. So this is one of the ways they showed where you can get up to the islands floating in the sky. Is a rock would come down, you'd use your recall, jump on it, and then it would send you back up there. Pretty cool. Fusion ability. This allows you to basically merge items together to create new weapons. This is really cool. When I showed this off, was pretty sweet. Where you can like pick up a stick, pick up a rock, fuse them together. Now you got like Thor's hammer running around beating the snot out of items or
I mean,
things.
sticking a rock doesn't really make a Thor's hammer. Let's not get that carried away, but it makes a hammer.
If you use it right, it's Thor's hammer. They have Ascend, which is kind of cool. This was interesting. So if you're in like a cave and there's flooring above it, I'm sure for what little you played Breath of the Wild, there's sometimes you had to climb up the side of a cliff and it would take forever. So this you basically can ascend and you will allow Link to go directly through the ceiling and you come up above on the floor above. So it's much more rapid, which is kind of cool. And then my favorite thing is called Ultra Hand. It's similar to a fuse, but allows you to create vehicles by fusing items together. And a side note that was really cool, this was actually in reference to a toy that Nintendo used to make. For those of you who don't know, Nintendo's been around since the late 1800s. They made cards and they made toys for decades and decades. One of the toys they made was called the Ultra Hand.
Ultra Hand.
And it basically was like an extension grabber. Kind of makes sense. And side note, the creator of the original grab hand was Gunpei Yokoi, and he was the creator of the D-pad,
Oh yeah,
the Game Boy, and Game and Watch.
very cool.
So I like anytime there's an Easter egg or a throwback to something. I always love stuff like that. So
I think Nintendo is one of the best in the industry that does things like
yeah.
that.
It's
Really
cool.
always pays homage to their past, which is really cool.
I mean, think about it, just their history and everything they've done prior to this. Because a lot, like for me, up until a few years ago when we started getting ready to do this podcast, I had no idea they were around as long as they were or what they had done. I just thought they were a video game company that came along in the 80s. I had no idea they'd been around since like the 1880s. Crazy.
Right.
So, yeah, that's our news of the week. Anything special there you want to touch on, Ken?
We'll finally getting some gameplay. That 10-minute plus footage of the gameplay from Tears of the Kingdom, that was really big. I know a lot of people were really itching to get their hands on more. You know, they've actually kept very quiet about gameplay up to that point on Tears of the Kingdom, and especially are the weapons breakable? Are they are they going to keep that feature? That's been a big speculation on if they're going to keep that or not. And obviously, yeah, they kept it, which I think is the worst idea that anyone could make. But it doesn't matter.
Best idea ever.
But yeah, no, that's really cool. I'm glad to see Resident Evil 4 doing well. I never expected it to do anything other than stellar. I mean, that's that. But yeah, Final Fantasy 16 is shaping up, looking good. That comes out in June. Legend of Zelda coming out in May. So we get some really big games coming out around
I can't wait.
Diablo 4 also is in June. Like I said, Final Fantasy 16 and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom in May. Resident Evil 4 just dropped. We got a good months ahead of us with games coming out. So
absolutely,
no, a lot of people are excited.
And speaking of games coming up, what do you get for games of the week?
For games of the week, we're going to start with Atari Mania. This is for the PS4 and 5. This comes out April 4th. It is already out for the Switch. It's a mashup of Atari games through the years. You play as a caretaker at the Atari Vault. That's kind of cool. It's a nice little take on.
When I first read about this, I was assuming it was just like a collection of old Atari games.
Sure. That's kind of where I thought.
Sure isn't.
But something unexpected happens when the games start to merge and mutate. You play through these mashups of Atari games and win and restore order. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so basically you're this caretaker and like a dead pixel shows up, and then all of a sudden weird stuff starts happening where all these old Atari games start merging and come together, and you're playing as different characters and villains throughout like all the years of Atari games. So it's kind of cool. I can't wait to see. I haven't seen any gameplay footage of it. Like I said, it's already out for the Switch, coming out this week for the PS4, PS5.
Yeah, that'd be a really cool game when you're on the toilet. You know what I mean? Like that's like the perfect toilet game.
Perfect mashup.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. Next we have Creed Rise to Glory Championship Edition. This is for the PSVR 2. This also comes out April 4th. As one could imagine, it's a boxing game starring
Rocky Balboa.
Close. Creed.
Oh, I was going to go with Ivan the Russian.
Maybe he's an unlockable character. I just got to say, I one day hope to have a PSVR 2 with Gran Turismo 7 in a full race setup. Gran Turismo on the PSVR 2 looks incredible. Absolutely incredible.
I would agree. You sent me gameplay footage of it, which was pretty amazing. Although I will say, I just recently saw, I didn't read the whole article, but they were saying, I guess the PSVR 2 not doing so well in the sales category.
Doesn't surprise me at all. It's very expensive, and I can't imagine these days that the market for VR is that
astounding
high. Yeah. But I can't help but love what they're doing with it, and I'm excited to see where VR goes. Also scared, like AI VR, worries me. But
a little bit.
Anywho, we got Grim Grimoire once more for the PS4, PS5, and Switch. Also comes out April 4th. This is a remaster of Grim Grimoire released in 2007 on the PS2. I don't think I've ever heard of this game.
Me neither.
But you play as a student of magic at an academy. Think Harry Potter. You play as Lilith Blan. On her 5th day, things get chaotic. I'm glad that I waited until the 5th day and not the first, because Lord already knows how chaotic your first day of school can be, let alone magic school. Anyway, on her 5th day, things get chaotic when she is thrown into a time loop, which is her which has her reliving the first 5 days over and over. You battle in 2D real time strategy battles.
Ooh, my favorite real time
Your
strategy.
favorite. Uh,
I will say
Nothing I'd
the
love more than to relive 5 days of high school. Boy, that would be great.
at least there's magic involved.
That's true.
I will say like the gameplay and the magic. The gameplay looked pretty good. It looked really cool. It looked interesting.
So you're gonna play it?
Looks cool. Won't play
Nice.
it. This next one though, this one seems interesting. I'll be interested to get your take on this next one. Cool concept, by the way.
So this next one is called Meet Your Maker.
Mm-hmm.
This comes out for everything, it looks like, except the Switch.
Poor Nintendo.
Also comes out April 4th.
Mm-hmm,
This is a first-person shooter set in a post-apocalyptic environment. Objective is to collect materials found at outposts that are built by other players. Okay. You build and fortify the outpost as well as construct a path to the outpost. Traps can be set along the path as well as AI guards. Oh, be careful.
Mm.
Yeah, but what this is post-apocalyptic for a reason, if you know what I mean. You then allow players to attempt to infiltrate your outpost while you try to break into their outposts.
Yeah, so basically you're building these outposts, and you gotta have paths leading. I think it goes to like a central kind of area, but you can post guards and traps and stuff along the way. Once you get it built and set, you then kind of like set it to the world so people can infiltrate it. And you will then try to like infiltrate other people's posts, and you collect materials to get like better guards, better materials to build a better structure and better outposts. And you also get stuff the longer you can keep people out of getting into yours.
So this, I feel like, for one of our listeners, our buddy Tony, I feel like this game is right up his alley. He played a game called Factorio, where you build up this factory and it like got invaded, like kind of similar type. I feel like to this. So I feel like this is right up his alley. So
Right up his alley. It's a good alley to be up. There you go, Tony.
Moving on. Oh, okay. So we just lost one listener. Movie
Sorry,
House. We got Movie House, Film Studio Tycoon. Oh, Movie House, the Film Studio Tycoon.
There you go.
Coming out for the PC on April 5th. You start as a young film crew that grows in the industry to become a powerhouse. See, it's funny. Anytime I see the word tycoon, I just happen to think like roller coaster tycoon.
That's essentially what this is, but for the film. I'm like, I was like, really? This is a game? You're like, you get like producers and directors, and you make movies, and then you build up into like, I don't know, MGM or something, or
Interesting.
yeah. So yeah, I was like, don't know. How did they make this a game?
I can't believe this stuff like this is still around.
I mean, there's Goat Simulator. There's anything. So
that's fair.
That's true.
Next, we have Curse of the Sea Rats.
This looks cool too, by the way.
This is coming out for everything, including the Switch, on April 6th. Action platformer with RPG elements. Already has a good start for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Game where your crew of 4 prisoners from the British Empire. Game where your crew of 4 prisoners from the British Empire has been turned into rats by a pirate witch. To be turned back, the prisoners must band together to find the witch and capture her. Okay, started strong.
Ken's like, I'm in it. Wait, what? What?
Yeah,
wait,
you
rats?
lost me.
Witch? Prisoner? Yeah. I mean, it kind of goes along with that movie Witches, where they turn them into rats, mice. You know what I'm talking about?
Was that a book?
Yes, but it was also a movie.
Oh, I know the book.
I know the movie. And together, we're brothers.
I was just thinking, last week when you're talking about the Last Ronin, the Ninja Turtles one, it dawned on me after thinking about it some more. I have actually heard about this, and I've read about it, and I know what turtle it is.
Don't tell me.
I'm just kidding.
What?
No, I'm not kidding. I do know who it is, and I remembered, but
okay.
Won't tell you.
So, anyways, Curse of the Sea Rats. You buying?
No.
That's good. Won't play it.
The next game we got is Everspace 2 for the PC. Comes out April 6th. It's a single-person space shooter with classic RPG elements. Originally slated for the PS4 and Xbox One, developer Rockfish Games said the scale and scope of the game was beyond what those systems could offer. Coming to the Xbox X and S as well as PlayStation this summer, early access for part of the game has been available since January 2021.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
did
like
you ever play Everspace 1?
no, but I guess they've offered this for sale for like $30 or $40 to play it, but but it's been out for like 2 years, the beta version of it. I've never
Yeah.
seen a game where you have to like pay for the beta and then you're gonna pay whatever the difference is for the actual game when it comes out, I guess.
Yeah, there's a game out there called Star Citizen that's been in early access for years and years and years, and
Huh.
you can like pay for stuff, and the game's constantly being updated and been worked on, but it hasn't, officially launched yet.
That's
But
cool.
a lot of people play it.
Alrighty then. Last but not
And
least.
last but not least, we have EA Sports PGA Tour 2023. It's coming out for the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PC on April 7th. Games Game will be included.
Game.
That's what it said.
I know. I don't know why that says that.
I don't know either, but
Continue on.
Games Game will
Oh,
be
geez.
included 28 real life courses as well as 2 fantasy courses. Developed using Frostbite game engine along with helicopter LiDAR scans of the courses. Additional courses will follow.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
the
cool.
technology, when I was reading about this, I don't know why. Yeah, that was a typo there in the beginning. Anyways, yeah, so they have 30 courses to start with. 28 are like real courses you can play, and there are 2 fantasy courses. But obviously not the fantasy courses, but the real courses, they actually flew over with helicopters and scanned the entire course with LiDAR scanners and imprinted it into the computer. And they said they even have like some of them where it's down to like the blades of grass and the little bridges for the walking paths, the houses that are in the area, the clubhouse, everything. All that was all scanned in and put in using LiDAR. And then they like went to the courses and like played a bunch of them. That'd be cool if you're a developer. They're like, all right, can you go play Pebble Beach for a while? Sure.
Yeah, a bunch of rounds of golf.
I know, right? You're like, I don't think we quite have it down. Let's do another round in here, buddies. So, I mean, I like a good golf game as much as the next person, I suppose, but it's just kind of cool. I like the attention to detail.
Yeah, I think like a really fun game. I'll say we like golf. But if I had the money, right? If I just, could do whatever I wanted, I would totally be putting a golf simulator in my house. But for those of us who can't afford a golf simulator, there's EA Sports PGA Tour.
I tell you, we're almost there, Ken. We get a couple more listeners. The money starts rolling in.
That's what I'm saying.
That's right. I recently heard if you do what you're passionate about, the money will sort itself out.
Who told you that?
I was listening on Joe Rogan podcast, but it was somebody who heard it on Oprah.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Oprah was the one who said it. Oh, trust me, I just love doing this, and the money just rolled on in.
That's right.
Oh, Oprah.
Go Oprah.
Well, so and yeah, any of these games you're picking up?
Let me see here. Nope.
So, Sarah, like you gave a real look to each one. You're like, well, no,
I did.
not a one.
I mean, I'd like to see gameplay from Atari Mania. That sounds interesting, as well as the Meet Your Maker. The concept sounds really cool.
If the Atari Mania one goes on sale for like $2 on this Nintendo Marketplace, then
you're like, get it. And that Curse of the Sea Rats, yeah, I like action RPGs. They're kind of cool.
I like rats. Rats are cool.
The EA Sports, I would play it if it was because I have the Switch. If it was like the old Tiger Woods golf where it was all like motion activated,
yeah,
I'd be more about it. But just sitting there and being like, whatever.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Well, moving on to this week in history, then. Back in 1982, we had Pac-Man for the Atari 2600 come out. 41 years ago.
So not to be confused with the version in the arcades. Yeah,
arcade, right?
This will be Atari version.
But still, 41 years ago.
I know, right?
This week we had Metroid Zero Mission came out for the Game Boy Advance back in 2004. That was 19 years ago. And if I remember correctly, I think Zero Mission was that. I believe that was a remake of the first Metroid game, the Metroid game for the NES.
I believe you're correct.
I think it was. If I'm wrong, send us an email to werebrothers.podcast@gmail.com. And lastly, we have Xenoblade Chronicles for the Wii that came out 11 years ago. It's funny, see, 11. I feel like it came out longer than that, but yeah, 11 years. I have played this game. It's not on my list. It could be, but for what we're going to be talking about, Taylor, what are we going to be talking about today?
Yeah, coming up after this short break, we're going to be talking about games that we started and never finished. Don't know why. Actually, some of these are a some of these I know why. Some of these I have no clue why. Actually,
yeah, these are. I think these are going to be pretty good. And Xenoblade Chronicles. I'll just start before a little break. That can be an honorable mention because I've started that game twice.
That's not on your list.
No, but it's only because it's a game. Though I've picked it up twice, I've never made it past like a couple hours. So can't say I haven't really. We'll get into like criteria and how we pick these games, but I will say that I have played Xenoblade Chronicles 2 and have beaten Xenoblade Chronicles 2. So that's
all right. Fair. All right. Well, we'll take our usual short break before we dive into our meat of this podcast.
I'll get the potatoes. You bring the forks.
Sour cream.
We're brothers.
We're brothers.
Hello and welcome back to the We're Brothers podcast.
Yeah, we're back.
Oh, so
how was that long?
Yeah, well, I was gonna say when we left off, I had just given a kind of a what's it called?
Honorable mention
of our games. Okay. So Taylor, so these are games that we have played but never finished. What were your criteria when you selecting these games?
I don't think we really set a criteria. Mine is pretty much anything. Like there's a handful of games that I've like picked up and played for like 2 seconds, and then like this game's terrible. So this is games I got. I'd say if I played at least 50% of it or close to it, and they just never finished for some reason. I don't know why we came up with this idea, but we were just thinking there was like some really good games that we like. You know, we'd come across it when we'd be talking about this podcast, and be, oh, Ken, you beat, Breath of the Wild. And you were like, no, I haven't. I was like, what? So anyways, it just kind of got us thinking. I'm sure there's a number of games out there that we have or you have that you've played, got into, and then for some reason just never put it down or never finished it. What's up, Jinxie?
She wanted to come up and say hello.
Welcome to the podcast. I see that tail just flicking around. What's up, Jinxie? She's like, Dad, what are you doing? Anywho. So I'm gonna kick it off. This is a game which I never beat, but it is one that just within the last few weeks, suddenly I have the ability to play on a current gen console and beat. Ken, do you know what game I'm gonna say?
Metroid Prime.
You got it. So this irks me. I love Metroid Prime. We had it for the GameCube, and I played 99.9% of this game. I'll never forget. I made it to the final boss. I played it once, died, and then we were living together younger. We were living at home, and Mom and Dad were like, oh, dinner's ready. So I'm like, okay, I'll come back upstairs and finish beating this in a minute. We go downstairs, we eat dinner, and for some reason, I never picked it back up and beat the game, and I have no idea why. Just never jumped back to it. So Metroid Prime is at the top of my list because I literally made it to the final boss, put it down to go eat dinner, and never finished playing it.
Yeah, that one to me is such a mystery. Like that is so unlike you.
I know.
That is so. I'm to be that close and not finish it. It blows my mind. It completely blows my mind.
I think it was something where it was like we had dinner and something came up, so I'm like, okay, I'll play it tomorrow. And then I worked the next day, and then I feel like school was ending or starting or something, and I was going off to college. I don't know, and I just never picked it back up and finished it.
Yeah. For some reason that triggered a saying that I've heard before, which is really sad. And it's one day your parents put you down and never
Mm,
picked you up again. And
no,
I remember reading that and being like, wow, that hits different.
uh, not to correct you. I think it was one day your parents picked you up for the last time or something like that.
I mean,
I guess same thing. Yeah. Never. Yeah.
it's
Yeah. I know what you're saying. But anyways, yeah, it is sad when you think about it. I
they're
used
the
to think
same
about that.
thing.
I used to think about it with my son when like I'd put him to sleep at night and he was a baby and I'd like rock with him. And I used to think about that saying. I'd be like, someday I'm gonna rock him to sleep for the last time, and I'm not gonna know it's the last time when it happens.
Yep.
Yep.
Real life
Real
with the
life
brothers.
with Metroid Prime. Anywho,
But yeah,
so the remaster just came out, and which, by the way, I have not picked up yet because I've been playing Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which has been amazing. Metroid Prime Remaster is getting downloaded here in the very near future. I'm
nice.
so excited to play that.
I'm really excited for you to play through that.
That's
too.
still a game I feel like holds up hardcore. That the graphics on that, even like before the original, was I think way ahead of its time. So beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I think it's one of the best looking games that came out of that time period.
That's a game that could be on my list, though I never really made it too far. But in that one, but for me, since we've touched on it already, I'll kick it off with Zelda. But here's the thing: when I really thought about it, it's not just Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is literally every single Zelda game
Are you
that
serious?
I have played. I have never beaten a
Oh
Zelda
my
game.
god! What? Wait, are
have,
you?
I've played countless. I've played countless times on ROMs and emulate. ROMs. The original Zelda game, but never beaten it.
Beat
Link
it.
to the Past, never beaten it. Ocarina of Time, we had it. We owned it. I had Ocarina of Time for the Nintendo 64. I had it for the 3DS. I had it. Never beaten it. Had Twilight Princess.
Link 2 for
Link
the
2?
NES. Yeah, the Legend of Zelda 2. Link.
I briefly played that one. I never sunk any time.
Beat it.
Beat it. Twilight Princess. Owned that for the Wii. Never. You had Skyward Sword. I never played Skyward Sword. Neither of us have ever played or beat Wind Waker. So Majora's Mask. I've never played Majora's Mask.
No, that's on my list. I do want to play through it though.
But
and Breath of the Wild.
But then Breath of the Wild.
What about the ones? Any of the ones for Game Boy, like Link's Awakening, Minish Cap? Any of those? Four Seasons?
Oracle of Seasons.
Nice hotel.
4 Seasons. I was like, I think something. I think you're right, but you're wrong.
I've never played Link's Awakening, but I have the remastered version for the Switch. I haven't played that yet either. I got it for Christmas. But you've never beat any of the Zelda games? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I've played. I mean,
we're not brothers.
And again, and for instance, like Link to the Past. I mean, like played that on ROM. I mean, made it to the Dark World. Like I've played put time into it, but
wow.
My list. You're gonna. Yeah, it's scary.
I didn't know I thought for sure you had beaten Link to the Past, and I thought you would beat the original. The original is really good. So
the original is really good. I played a lot of the original. But
hey, you know what, Ken? They have that on the Switch.
They do.
And Link 2. And Link to the Past.
Yeah.
And Minish Cap.
Yeah.
And Link's Awakening.
Anywho.
Oh my goodness.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Number 2 on my list. This is a game I know you've never played, and this is one that I never beat, and it frustrates me to this day. Far Cry. You ever played any of the Far Cry?
Oh.
So I was
I played Far Cry 3.
So this was the original. I remember I was for a long period of time I was big into first person shooters. I played Duke Nukem, I played Call of Duty, Medal of Honor, Quake, Rise of the Triad, a bunch of others. Anyways, I was at home one day and I'm like, I need to pick up a new first person shooter. So I just Googled online. I saw Far Cry. They had it at Walmart for $10 in like their bin. Pick it up. And you know me, I usually play games on either the hardest or second hardest difficulty. I made
I
it.
feel like you've only recently started to back off because I've only have ever remembered you ever playing games on the hardest difficulties, and that was one of the things I admire about you is that even though like the span of games that you've played as far as like even like recently and stuff like not like the greatest, but when you play a game
Mm.
you always played it on the hardest difficulty and you would smash your face against the wall as many times as it took to complete the challenge. So
This game, I made it. I don't know. I'm assuming I'm right at the end of this game. I think I was right at the end of the game. I was hours and hours out into this game, and I got to this part where you enter into this bunker, and there are these like four pillars in a room, and this door shuts behind you. And I'm talking, I am loaded up to the hilt with ammo, full health, everything, and just this swarm of bad guys and stuff come at you. And I died and died and died and died and died and died. I mean, I spent like weeks probably just trying to get past this one part. Everything I could think of between like different guns to use going in there, different strategies of where to hide and stuff. I just kept dying and dying and dying and dying. And finally I just something happened, I like didn't pick it back up. And I'm pretty sure it's like the end of the game. That one stings. That and Metroid Prime, those two sting hard, real hard.
I I had forgotten until you said something about the Far Cry. I remember that now. I remember you being stuck on that.
Anywho, Far Cry, great game, and I know they made like a slew, but what they have like Far Cry 6 coming out or 5 or something like that.
I think yeah, six,
6.
maybe seven. Far Cry 3 was. I'd say Far Cry 3 is to the Far Cry series as Resident Evil 4 is to Resident Evil. Far Cry 3 really helped push that Far Cry further into mainstream. Not just mainstream, but really helped define the series moving forward. Added some RPG light elements to the game, just as far as like a progression system, like with different skills and like with melee and guns and things like that. Added some RPG light stuff to the game. So yeah, Far Cry 3 was a lot of fun. I really liked that.
I could have used a lot of RPG like rocket propelled grenades in that part.
Yeah,
Dude, that one
I'm sure
stings. I still think about it to this day.
wasn't in like that first one. Weren't there like these like giant like gorilla like with rocket launchers?
Yeah, so the premise, you were on this island and they were doing testing on humans and they were mutating into like primates of some kind.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And there was just this swarm of bad guys just coming at you. And there was like no place to duck and cover, or if you were like within seconds, they were surrounding you, and it was like dozens of them. And I'm just like, how on it's cool.
Well,
It's cool.
maybe one day you'll have to try
Come
again.
back to it. I'll have to die again. Thanks, Ken. So,
No, I said try again.
oh, they said die again. That'd have been more suitable.
No.
Yes,
I have full
die.
confidence in you that you will be able to get past it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm past my prime now. I don't
Past
know if
your
I
prime.
can. Yeah.
And that's just prime.
Oh, that's where the apes come in.
Yep.
That's a young man's game now.
So, are you ready to be infuriated by my next one?
Oh God. Yes. No. Maybe.
And again, this one you're going to be like, no, that can't be. That can't be true. And again, this isn't just one game. This is a whole franchise.
Series?
Sonic the Hedgehog.
If you say Mario,
no, I'm beating one Mario game. Sonic the Hedgehog.
the series.
I've never beaten like actual like final like Robotnik like
We didn't beat Sonic and Knuckles when we had that for the PC. I'm sorry. You?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean,
So-
you were pretty young, I guess, when we had that.
And like just I played it a lot, right?
Yep.
Played through the levels as Knuckles because Knuckles was my favorite. And yeah, we had the Sonic and Knuckles collection for the PC, so you could play through Sonic. You had Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles.
Yeah. The Sonic and Knuckles was like an add-on for 3, basically.
Right, but
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could, but there was so, but it was its own game.
Okay. Go on,
Look it up. But in the Sonic and Knuckles collection, it would
Jamie.
allow you to it would allow you to choose to play as either Sonic and
Yeah.
Tails or Knuckles
Yeah.
in Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3,
Correct.
Sonic and Knuckles. And but yeah, and you could choose like which level. Yeah,
Yeah.
you could pick like what's in yeah, I've never actually sat through and played level 1 all the way through to beat a Sonic game.
I know I beat number 2 because I just recently beat it on the Genesis Switch online services. I don't know if I beat 1 or 3 though. I'm pretty sure I beat 3 because what you and I had it. I think I beat it when we had it for the PC.
Hmm.
But
But yeah, had a Dreamcast for a little bit. Had Sonic Adventure. Never beat that.
that's a good game.
It
I
was
played
yeah
it
fun.
briefly. Cool game. Never play it.
We had Sonic Adventure 2 for the GameCube, or we played it. We rented it.
I think we rented it. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, Sonic.
That's
I had it from the Game Boy Advance. I had Sonic Advance. Never.
right. You just brought that up the other day to me.
Yep.
Mm.
So
Wait, can I just back up for a minute? You've only beaten 1 Mario game? No, come on, you've beaten more than 1. Mario Brothers 3. All right, folks. End of the podcast right here.
I don't like. I probably have. I've played through it on an emulator. Like I know I haven't beaten 2. The original Mario Brothers. Like I don't think I've actually ever sat down and played through
Super Mario World. I think that one you've beaten.
Oh no, that one is I know 100% for sure. I've beaten Super Mario.
Yeah. Woo!
I've 100% of that.
Super Mario 64?
Nope.
Nope. I've beaten 1, 2, 3, the real number 2, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Story. Did you beat that? You told me about how great it was.
Well, just because I told you how great it was doesn't mean I actually beat it.
Damn.
But Yoshi's Story is the one where it's just Yoshi.
Yeah, and then Baby Mario is riding on the back. That's Super Mario World 2. Yoshi's Story.
Yeah, but then they have a game called Yoshi Story for the Nintendo 64. That was you didn't play with Mario on your back, like you just played as Yoshi.
Oh, gotcha. I beat Mario 64, Sunshine, Galaxy. I haven't played Galaxy 2 or Odyssey yet.
Keep talking. I apologize, folks. I have to blow my nose real quick. I apologize.
Okay, I'll keep talking. So, anyways, we'll all sit here and make fun of the fact that Ken has only beaten supposedly 1 Mario game. 1 Mario game. This is ridiculous. Yeah, you know, I'm sorry. I know you folks are used to the professionalism going on here, but yeah, this is just unacceptable. And we'll make sure we get this corrected. So, anywho, yeah, that time that Ken was just completely embarrassing himself was just unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Anyways.
So,
all right.
Yes.
Okay. Number 3 on my list, Golden Sun 2, The Lost Age. So I beat the first one. Second one, I made it like halfway through, and I remember I was following this walkthrough, and at some point during the walkthrough, it confused the crap out of me on where to go, what to do, and I got frustrated, and I just never got back around to it. But number 1 is coming to the Switch Online services. I'm assuming number 2 will be there, so this will get rectified at some point here in the future. Great game.
It definitely will.
Yeah.
We touched on the first game a little bit last week. That's one that I own, played through a lot. I haven't beat. I don't have that one on my list. So that's like an honorable mention because I plan on playing through that one when it comes out on the and just like the Legend of Dragoon is one I've played a little bit. I've never beat. I'm actually currently playing through that right now.
Love Legend of Dragoon.
So having a really fun time with that one. So
that was one probably about 10 years ago. I was looking for some games to play, and you were like, "Oh, check out Legend of Dragoon," and I fell in love with that right away. That was a great game.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. So this next one
Oh
is
god.
another one that's gonna upset you quite a bit.
Jeez. We're
Um,
just moving on to Donkey Kong now, or
I swear to God, that's literally my next one.
oh god. No, we're
It's
done.
literally that is literally my next one. Is Donkey Kong. We own Donkey Kong Country 3. I've played Donkey Kong Country numerous times, one and two. Yeah, never beat them. Never beat them.
Not only did I beat these I beat them on the Super Nintendo. I just recently played through all three of them on Switch Online services. They were actually when I got the Switch, I played through Breath of the Wild, and when I was done Breath of the Wild, I was like, I gotta jump into some of these older games, and I played through one. They were the first games I played on Switch Online services.
You played through 1 through 3?
Yeah,
Wow,
all three of
cool.
them. Yeah,
Cool.
they were great.
Cool.
Uh,
I played through most of the first one
mhm.
on our plane ride a couple years ago to California. I
Oh,
didn't beat
okay.
it though, but so
Uh, Now would
yeah.
this include like the original Donkey Kong for the NES, Donkey Kong Jr.? By the way, those are on Switch Online services too. By the way,
Well, I mean, those can you beat those? I mean,
you mm, that's true. They just keep cycling through. Fine, I'll give you a pass on that one.
I'm thinking of the Donkey Kong Country games when I say
Series.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong 64. Did you ever play that?
No, never played it.
Great
I know you
game.
love it.
It was long. At the time, held the record for most collectibles in a video game. So I'll throw that out there.
Did
I
you collect them
recently
all?
got. Oh, of course, yeah, 100% of that baby. That one took forever. What was I gonna say? Oh, did recently get Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Switch. Haven't.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I got that for Christmas with Link's Awakening.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, very
And I
cool.
haven't busted out either one of those yet. I've been very busy. So,
Yeah, I've been busy.
yeah. So Donkey Kong, you son of a biscuit.
Yep.
All right,
What's next?
me, Well, this is an oldie but a goodie. Duke Nukem Forever.
Really?
Yeah, so this is another one that was similar to Far Cry for me. So my stepdad introduced me to Duke Nukem 3D years ago. Played through a ton of Duke Nukem 3D games. I was so excited when, Duke Nukem Forever was announced 20 some odd years ago, and it was in development hell for a few decades. Anyways, I finally got my hands on it. Oh, geez, wow, that's 7 years ago, 8 years ago now.
Yeah, at
And
least.
again, played through on the hardest setting. I made it to one of the bosses, and I just kept dying over and over and over. And then life happened. I never got back to it. I never finished beating the game.
Okay.
Yep, Duke Nukem Forever. Stings a little bit. That
It
one
does.
I do want to get back to though and beat.
Yeah, I'm
Ken,
surprised.
yeah.
This
What's
one
some,
won't make you angry. Don't worry. This one
I'm
won't
sure
make
it
you angry.
will. I'm sure it will. What's number 4 on your list?
No, this one really well. It's the Dragon Age franchise
How dare you?
from
That's one
Bio.
of. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's from BioWare. I mean BioWare obviously Mass Effect, huge RPG franchise, as well as Knights of the Old Republic. Dragon Age, really cool. Really like the design. Knights. I figured, oh, it's like fantasy, like knights and swords and magic. Mass Effect. Played it, the Dragon Age Origins, and then there was Dragon Age 2, which I didn't play, but then they came out for the PS4 and Xbox One, Dragon Age Inquisition, which was like the leap forward. And so I played a bunch of Dragon Age Inquisition, same thing, and then just dropped it and never beat it. So got like a super overpowered build. I was like this battle mage that had like the sick like spirits like swords thing that was just devastating everyone, and then I never finished the game.
Way to go, Schmo.
So,
Uh,
but I just I mean you give the last one next because my last one I saved the worst for last. So this one might actually make you like lose your mind.
so this is one I had a different game in here, and then we were talking this morning. This morning, I was driving, and you mentioned Legend of Dragoon, and it made me think of a game. Was it this morning?
I
Yes,
think it was last. Yeah, it was. It was this
it was
morning.
this morning. Anyways, when you mentioned Legend of Dragoon, I was like, oh, it made me think of a game. This is a game I played through very far twice. Once I was playing, well, both times was with an emulator, and my motherboard fried when I was like halfway through the game. I had to start from scratch like a long time later. And again, I made it probably 3/4 of the way through, and something happened. And I just never finished it. Chrono Cross.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So Chrono Cross was. You and I are huge fans of Chrono Trigger. Ken, have you ever been Chrono Trigger?
That's actually the last game. No, I'm kidding. Yes, yes. I have beaten Chrono
I
Trigger.
thought I was gonna have to reach through the screen and murder you if that was the last game on your list.
No,
Anyways,
multiple times I have beaten Chrono Trigger.
I'd been so excited to play Chrono Cross, and then for whatever reason, like, well, not for whatever reason. First time motherboard fried, and I was like halfway through the game. Second time, I don't know why. I was doing stuff, and life happened, and I just never got back around to beating it.
The remaster for Chrono Cross was that for the Switch as well?
Yes, it is.
It is.
I have not gotten it, so
right. Yeah. But it is out there, so
it's out there somewhere.
that's one that you got to finish.
I think so. Yeah. Anyways, all right, that's my 5. So we had Metroid Prime, Far Cry, Duke Nukem Forever, Chrono Cross,
And Golden Sun.
and Golden Sun. That's right. 2. All right, Ken. What's number 5 on your list?
Number 5 on my list is Final Fantasy 7.
7. Oh my goodness.
I've never have beaten Final Fantasy. Now, to be fair, I've beaten Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which isn't the whole game of Final Fantasy 7.
Well,
so
yeah. Wait, I was gonna say. So you're still in process. You can redeem yourself with this. Are you planning on finishing when the next parts of? There's 2 more parts coming out, right?
Yeah, but I'm just speaking of like the old school, like the original
Fair.
Final Fantasy 7.
Fair. But I will count this if you beat the remaster. Remake.
I don't know. They're so different. They're so different. I wouldn't count it.
Okay.
I wouldn't count it. It's a very fun game, but
I played this around the time I did Legend of Dragoon. I think I did one before the other. I don't remember which, but I remember there was 2 optional bosses before you got to the final boss. And the optional bosses are like way stronger than the actual final boss of the game. So I just like grind forever. Took forever. I beat the 2 optional bosses, and then I get to the final guy, and I was just like, whoop, like steamrolled right through him. I was like, oh, that's not what I expected, but yeah. Final Fantasy 7 was good.
So we own this when I bought a PS1 off of a buddy of mine back when we were kids, and we had Final Fantasy 7. Our cousins also had it, so I played it one summer visiting our cousins Matt and Steven. Obviously didn't have enough time in a week that I was there visiting to play through the entire game. But then when we had it, I made it pretty far. I made it into, I believe, disc 3, and again, just life never beat it. And since then, I know I own it on my PS4. I had a PS Vita for a while. I had it on that. What?
Nothing. I'm just okay.
Just haven't had time to sit down and play through it.
All right, that's fair.
So,
well, there you have it.
Those are the 5: Sonic, Donkey Kong, Zelda, Dragon Age, and Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah, I know. If only you had a system that would allow you to play a bunch of these older games.
I know. Too bad it doesn't exist. Maybe one day.
You're like, all right, see you next week. Anyways, so are there any games out there that you, our listeners, have played, loved, and that just never finished for some reason? Let us know in the comments below, or send us an email at theweirdbrotherspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, sir.
Ken, anything else you want to add before we wrap this baby up?
Get out there and play some games. Finish them up.
Get out there, enjoy life, but don't let life get in the way of finishing good video games.
You darn tootin'.
That's our advice for the Weird Brothers podcast today.
That's it.
Get out there, try to see a sunrise and a sunset, enjoy a mountain hike. Don't let it get in the way of what really matters, beating video games.
Exactly.
Until next time.
We're brothers.
We're brothers.